Hello, and welcome to Girl Bye, the podcast where we bring the queer conversation to the so called norm. Today, I'd like to welcome a good friend of mine, someone who's dominating Atlanta and enjoying every minute of living there instead of being in their home all alone all the time. I would like to welcome Eric. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you, Manny?
I'm doing good. Are you excited to be on this podcast and spill a little tea
I
and
am,
have a little
especially
drink?
since this is going to be my very first podcast ever.
First podcast ever. We love taking people's virginity on the podcast. Introduce yourself a little bit to the people watching and listening. Tell them a little bit about where you're from, what you like to do, and anything you kind of want to share to get people to know who you are.
My name is Eric Alexander, 32, born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina. Just moved to Atlanta almost 2 years ago. Yeah, July 29th is going to be 2 years. As far as what I like to do, there's a lot. I love traveling, love food, love movies. What I have time for, though, is school, working out. Wake up at 4:30 every morning to work out. So fun. And then I do sports as well. So kickball, volleyball, bowling.
Oh my God, you bowl?
I do. I actually have my own bowling ball and shoes too.
That is everything. So I don't have my own bowling ball, but I do have my own bowling shoes because I could refuse to put my feet in other people's feet. Um, but I do like to bowl. I used to bowl for a while. It was really fun. I just felt like I didn't have anybody to bowl with.
Yeah.
So too bad we don't both live in Charlotte and could go bowling, but
Yeah.
that was always super fun. To dive in a little bit, what do you do in the realm of work and kind of how does that interact with your day-to-day routine?
I actually work for a bank and I'm 100% remote. I've actually never interviewed with the company. They just went off of my resume and offered me an offer letter. So I never interviewed with them. They sent me the equipment and everything in the mail.
Was that during COVID?
It was, actually, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So they didn't know what they were doing.
exactly. So I got lucky because they, again, sent me all the equipment and everything after the offer letter. And I didn't really speak to my manager until that Thursday right before I was going to start work. But thankfully, it was an easy transition. My manager, she's amazing, super flexible with our schedule if we need to be. And she actually cares about us and makes sure that we're okay.
That's really awesome. I think not many people probably have that success story in finding a really good job.
Yeah.
So, in your hobbies, I know that you work a lot and keeping up with the gym and all of that craziness. Where do you find yourself in the queer community? What resonates with you the most?
Sports, that's really where I dive into the queer community. So I'm part of this league called Stonewall Sports. And they had it back in Charlotte, and that's how I found out about it. But essentially, they have a variety of sports. So they have kickball, bowling, volleyball, dodgeball. They do darts. They have a tennis team. Um, I'm sure I'm missing some other ones, but yeah. So it's just a variety of sports, and you can just sign up for whichever one you want. And yeah, that's really how I've gotten
That is
incorporated.
amazing. I have never in my life heard of Stonewall Sports. So definitely everybody listening, if you are a sports gay, it is that's a place to go.
You don't even
Definitely
have to be
not
a
for
sports
sports
guy.
gay.
Like there's different levels. There's A, which is competitive, B, which is somewhat competitive, and C, you just go to have fun and drink. So yeah.
Ooh, so I am into sports.
Exactly.
Definitely something to try out. I wonder what other cities, do you know what other cities they have it in? Is this like something across the country? Is it
It's
just in the queer
yeah, they
city?
have several across the country. I think in June they're gonna have like a tournament in Philadelphia amongst like all of the cities that we have. I'm not sure how many, but if you just type in Stonewall
Yeah.
Sports and then your city, you'll see if they have it available for you.
Yeah, definitely. For everybody listening, I will and watching, I'll put it in the caption below, like a link to their main website. I think that's super interesting and a great way to bring people in the community together. It doesn't always have to be something crazy to hang out. You don't always have to hang out at a bar. You can always meet other gays and queer people in many different spaces. So that's actually really awesome. So to dive into kind of where you were before you got to here and being an adult and working, you said you grew up in Charlotte,
Correct.
but in your growing up phase, when did you officially come out? When did you know that you were gay? And kind of how did that navigate through high school in Charlotte?
Absolutely. So the earliest recollection that I have, I was maybe probably 3 years old, if not younger. Um, but well, let me back up a little. So I'm Mexican and Salvadorian. My mom's El Salvadorian. My dad's Mexican. So ever since I was 9 months old, I would fly either to Mexico or El Salvador. So again, I was probably around 3 years old at my grandma's house in her front yard, and she has a gate in the front, so of course people can't pass by. But I remember I was maybe like diapers or one of those cloth diapers, I believe, just standing out there, and I saw this shirtless guy just walk by, and I felt something. I didn't know what it was at the time, but that's really the earliest recollection that I have of being attracted to guys, and ever since then I knew. Fast forward to
That must have been one hell of a guy for you to remember that so many years later.
right. I don't remember the face or anything. I just remember shirtless body. So yeah.
Makes sense.
So
Makes
yeah.
sense.
Plus, it's hot over there, so they're sweaty.
That was it. It was the glistening chest that walked down the street.
Exactly. So fast forward to high school years, I really didn't come out until high school, really, to like friends. They took it very well. They were very accepting. So as far as high school, the ones that I told, it was great. Sophomore year of high school, though, there was an incident in JROTC on a school trip. It was at night. It was one of our award ceremonies. And this guy that I was friends with, we did some stuff in the back of the bus and somehow it got out the next day. And everybody knew at school. Some people
Okay.
obviously teased me and bullied me about it. Um, the people that I had already told obviously protected me. But that's really when I first truly came out. As far as my family, though, because I come from a traditional family, I'm first generation. Um, they obviously, my parents have more traditional views on things. My mom was a Mormon, my dad was Catholic. I was baptized as both. So I never wanted to tell them until after I had moved out and was fully established and didn't have to depend on them in anything. Um, but I remember the day. It was December 4th, 2007, when I was at home on the couch watching the TV Guide channel. And my dad, I was trying to figure out what to watch. And
That's really getting lost in the TV
yeah,
there.
and my dad came home, and the gay guy from Ugly Betty, not Justin, but the other guy, the assistant, he was up on the screen doing like an interview. And my dad just started provoking me with questions about my sexuality, and it slipped out. And once I told him, he obviously didn't take it well. He said, "What did he do to deserve this? He's going to go throw himself off a bridge." Just a lot of negative things. He called my mom. We owned a restaurant at the time, so she drove from the restaurant home, took me up to your room, and had me repeat what I said to him. And I got slapped across the face several times by my mom for that. Um, they took me back to the restaurant, and I went to the office grabbed a one of the kitchen knives, and I almost contemplated taking my life. Um,
Oh my God.
yeah, but um, but that was the day that I came out. My parents didn't take it well. My family, my extended family, a lot of them turned their backs
Yeah.
on my parents and especially on me. I still have a lot of cousins though that still I still talk to. Um,
Yeah.
so that was great having a little bit of support, especially when my mom is one out of 22 kids and my dad is one out of nine.
Wow.
So huge family.
Yeah. Typical Hispanic family.
Exactly.
Very large.
Exactly.
Um,
So
yeah. I think first of all, I want to thank you for being so honest about that process. I'm sure that that is not something that is easy to talk about, in general. I think when we all go through different moments in life that it comes to so close to like our families, it becomes a little different. And I think a lot of people don't really realize what the Hispanic community goes through.
mhm,
This is something that I hope to continue to like bring a lot of awareness in everything that I do, being Puerto Rican and being that I grew up in an extremely Hispanic household. I mean, we speak two languages. We have always been, shunned if you didn't speak a second language. Coming out is
yeah,
always a difficult thing. A lot of people are Catholic and extremely religious, and they use their religion as a way to kind of distance themselves from family and stuff like that. And I think it's really interesting that we hear a lot of different groups of people talk about what they go through with their families.
yeah,
And I still haven't quite cracked the code on why the Latin community, we just don't talk about it. We just kind of like leave it on the wayside and hope that it just goes away.
correct.
And I think that it's going to take a lot of us kind of banding together to really kind of get those big changes to happen.
Yeah,
Um, and so, I can definitely see where that can be very difficult because there's a lot of my family I don't speak to.
yeah,
So it's something that I think we become more comfortable with, I guess, or something that we just learn to deal with, I guess.
absolutely. It definitely takes time.
Yeah. And so where are you now with the people that are close to you?
Yeah. So after that, my parents they were also going through a separation. So I was almost left homeless because my father moved to Atlanta without telling us. He actually basically stole my car, tricked me into switching cars with him so he can move over here. Um, and
So
it's
wild.
it's you have no idea. There's a lot more detail, but
Yeah.
it's crazy. So he moved here to Atlanta. My mom moved to our old house. I was basically going to be homeless because she moved in with the person she was dating at the time. Thankfully, a friend of mine who I met through modeling and acting called her up. I'm like, hey, can you go look at some apartments with me? Because I didn't want to go by myself, obviously, just to look.
Yeah.
And her mom actually heard me on the phone and they took me in. So I became part of their family. Ironically, the mom is Salvadorian as well, and the dad is Filipino.
Period.
But they accepted me. Their extended family accepted me throughout that period. I did not talk to my parents, my biological parents, for years. But then eventually they reached out individually, kind of apologizing
Yeah.
for what they had done and said, realizing that I'm still me. I'm still the same little kid that they knew growing up. Nothing really changed.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and you said that the first man that you thought was attractive was so young. I mean, you literally have been the same child the entire time. There
true.
was there was no different. There was no different
True.
you. You were like in them early on.
Yeah. So thankfully, my relationship with them is better. I still hold a little resentment, but I also have my guard up with them because I know there's certain things I can't say or do, um, especially with my father.
Yeah.
So, I mean, every now and then he and I will hang out and he still apologizes to me and cries and hugs me, which makes me sad that he still holds on to that. But at the same time, I'm kind of holding on it also. So we're working towards it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the great thing from at least from what I'm hearing from the story itself is that everyone is very aware, which means that you can all move in a different direction and kind of grow together because I think the thing that we the worst situation to be in is when somebody is completely delusional. You know what I
Correct.
mean? Like if they still believe that there was nothing wrong that they have done wrong, then that would be, I think, a whole different situation. So the good part is that you can look at it as like a moment of, you guys are all on the same page in wanting to move forward.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, pain does not heal quickly,
it doesn't.
and I think it takes a little time. Now, as you continue to grow up, I know that you kind of noticed that you were into men really young, but when did you kind of come into your first relationship? Were you high school? Was it before, after? And what was it like being gay in Charlotte at that time? Because that was
Yeah.
how many years ago?
Yes. So my first relationship, his I'm gonna I'm not gonna say his name. We'll say his name was
That's okay.
John, just for the podcast. But I was turning 21 when I had met John online, because that's how you met people back then, is on Craigslist, on Adam for Adam, and Grinder was
Not
very very
Craigslist.
yes, yes. Craigslist.
Craigslist.
Yeah. And then
That's
Adam for
Let's
Adam.
take a moment and rest in peace, Craigslist and Backpage.
Oh, the stories.
Because of Craigslist and Backpage, they had to walk so Grinder could run.
Exactly. Yes, that's
Yes.
100% correct. And thankfully, Grinder was a little more successful. It was in the very early processes, but that's how I met John. We hung out and went to bars and stuff once I turned 21, but very very quickly, within a month of dating, he wanted me to like move in with him and quit my job, and he was going to take care of me. And while that sounds nice for some people, I have never really been dependent on others, so I couldn't, and I still can't, even though I wish I had a sugar
So
daddy.
he wanted you to be a sugar baby?
Basically, basically,
Did he have sugar daddy
no.
money?
He was more like a splendid daddy.
Oh no.
Sam. Um, but he treated me well. He was the only relationship that did not cheat on me. So I thank him for a lot of things, and it kind of helped set me up for future relationships. So what I kind of want and what I don't want. But dating is very out of the window, especially back then. It was just going out to bars, drinking, and really just hooking up.
Yeah, definitely during that original time, there wasn't the internet dating masses that we have nowadays. So when you went from like that time frame of dating, and I think that was also a time frame where we still met people in person a lot more often
We
than we
did.
do
Mhm.
today. Um, so from then to like apps picking up and stuff like that, and like getting to meet people, what are the pros and cons that you have had in your dating time frame versus like real life meeting people and apps? Other
So
than hookup. Obviously, we know apps are great for hookup culture. We have figured that out. That is like the easiest way to order anything you want delivered to your door. But outside of that,
so that's been it for the most part. The few people that I have dated after John have kind of been in person. I met them in person at the clubs, or one person I met at work. But it's really been more that they want situationships than an actual true committed monogamous relationship, which is what I look for.
and so for me, in my life and dating, majority of the time had been spent meeting people through apps. A majority of the time I've lived in different cities, and I've kind of like the longest city I've ever personally lived in was after high school was probably Charlotte at like 3, almost 4 years.
Okay.
Other than that, I was like a year or two in every city. So like a majority of the time it was meeting people at the club or on an app. But in your experiences of dating now, do you feel like the gay culture is more situationship than it's ever been, or do you think that it has always been kind of like that?
I feel like it's always been situationship based. um, and I think that nowadays we've really stuck to that situationship. Um, a lot of the couples that I know are in open relationships though. So our community is very either situationship or very open. It's very rare if you find anything in between.
Yeah, I've noticed that. So like in my time frame of meeting people, I'm actually trying to think off the top of my head if I mean I do know of couples that are in monogamous relationships, but a majority of the people that I talk to that are in relationships are in open relationships.
Mhm.
Um, which is why I asked that question, because as I talk to people that are currently dating, I always like to dive in a little bit deeper into that whole dating realm, because I do feel like it's extremely different over the last really few years. I don't even think it's really been that long that like all of a sudden I felt like at one point I was dating and everybody that I talked to was like wanting to get married and had kids and wanting like the whole magical lifestyle. And then I feel like, before I got into a relationship, when I first moved to Charlotte, everybody I met was like just wanting to have somebody to be there when they want them there kind of situation.
Yeah. And I think that also plays a part into when we first were able to have the right to get married. That's when everybody was in that situation where they wanted to really get married and kind of settle down. But then that has died down because we have that right now. So now it's back to what it used to be, really.
Yeah. Which is ironic. I think we've come a long way. And I think, I don't know if there's any people listening that are in monogamous gay relationships and would like to talk more about this conversation. I would love to have a panel of people to just dive into this thing at some point. So hit me up. Let me know if we can bring it to the conversation. Dating, all of that stuff is great. As time goes on, and the more that we open up as a community, and the more that we bring ourselves to being a part of the community, and just this is who we are and this is how we want to live. Um, at work, is this something that if people ask you about, you tell them or you don't tell them? Is this like a secret? Does everybody at work think you're married and have a wife and a model, or what's going on?
Well, for me personally, it's hard to hide. I have gay voice, first of all.
What is gay voice?
Gay voice is
I
really like
when
high pitched feminine, the stereotypical gay.
I have met straight men that have gay voice. Then I'm just gonna say that.
There are
I'm
straight
not
guys
gonna
that
put
have gay
anybody's
voice.
names out here, but some of y'all might want to take a listen to the podcast and then realize you might be one of us.
So
But definitely, I mean, I get that. But does anybody ever ask you or any of that?
no one ever really asked me because, again, for me, it's I'm obvious. I'm an open book.
They already know.
But exactly. But I have had coworkers who are curious about the lifestyle and certain sexual acts and stuff. So they feel comfortable asking me, so how does that work? Or what does this mean? Or what is that?
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I have no
You got
problem
curious
educating
coworkers.
them with what I know.
Are they mainly women or men?
Men.
I knew it.
It's mainly men. Yes.
I find in my lifetime, men have been the most curious about the most amount of topics when it's come to being gay, any kind of like different kinks that they have,
Hmm.
stuff like that. I've always found don't get me wrong, some of my girlfriends have really told me some things or asked some things that I was like, "Girl, I did not know." But majority of the time, especially
Yeah,
coworkers, was always men.
yeah,
So that's why I asked.
yeah.
That's hilarious.
Now,
Um, what's the craziest thing somebody's ever asked you?
the craziest thing, it's been a while since somebody's asked me something like that. So, trying to
I
think.
mean, ever. It could be anybody ever.
Cleaning out, how does that work?
I get that question. That's
That's the one that
definitely
comes to mind right now. Is especially
yeah.
for
That's
especially for a straight dude.
yeah.
Really
No,
fab.
definitely I get that. I get that considering on TikTok I'm pretty sure we can find 20 videos about how men don't clean
Yeah.
themselves correctly. But, let's not even dive down the shower question because as you know, I've asked this question in a friend group before and it went left. So,
Oh gosh, yes. But
yeah.
you also mentioned
Um yeah.
how the workplace takes it. Um,
Yeah.
so I've been in different kind of environments. So I used to work at a modeling acting agency. I've worked at a call center that we sold women's shoes and handbags. So in those environments, it was obviously acceptable. Um, at that time, that was early Eric, where I was still figuring out who I was. And I thought being gay meant dressing up in heels, wearing booty shorts, makeup. So that's what I did back then. Then when I got into my first corporate setting, I kind of like teetered a little, but one of my managers once pulled me aside and said, "You can't do that if you want to get promoted." And that's kind of where I kind of pulled back and changed my appearance and try to change things about me. Um, and it wasn't a comfortable situation, but I kind of think that situation as well because it made me realize that there really isn't one way to be gay. There's very masculine, there's
Right.
very feminine, there's in between, there's sorts of gay, really.
Yeah. So, actually, in an earlier podcast, I had talked about the fact that a majority of my career was in the sales realm. So, I like worked a lot in the sales space and training, teaching, really leadership. And it's funny because if you go to, and this is a little sneak peek, if y'all go to my Instagram and you go through my photos, you can kind of see where that those positions changed. You can see where like there's certain phases of my life where even now when I go back to my Instagram and I like go through my photos, I'm like, wow, I really like this was like if you look at certain my photos, you can see where like I felt really comfortable in a job because I've like dyed my hair, I like did cool stuff, I had like my nails done, things like that. But the moment I was trying to get promoted or go to a new career or move to a new company, you can see where I went to like corporate America Manny. I was like extremely short hair, clean
Mhm.
cut, like suit almost every day, living like the corporate America
Yeah.
lifestyle. And it's just crazy how people don't realize that that's still happening every day today.
Oh,
Like
I'm.
you may not think so because people are not outwardly, writing gay on your resume anymore and throwing it to the side, but it's still happening, right? Like there's still a lot of people that are not hiring people because of specific situations. I think it even goes to the fact that I'm pretty sure that there are still companies out here that because of your name do not look at your resume, whatever it might be. But I think it's wild that we are not at a point where that's not a problem anymore. And I think we need to keep bringing awareness to that for sure so that people like us that are totally qualified for these roles can get the roles and it doesn't matter what you do in your own personal free time.
Correct.
Yeah. Um Wild. Corporate America is definitely. Have you ever seen that corporate America lady? The black lady where her wig's not glued down. Corporate America, Erin, I think is her name on
No, I
TikTok.
haven't.
So I'm gonna insert clip Corporate America girl. She is hilarious because she literally just talks trash about like corporate America, but in like the most funniest voice, and it's real. Like everything she's saying is like stuff that I have heard in like meetings and things like that about like meeting quotas and
Wait, is she
setting
always
the
wearing like a
agenda.
cardigan or something?
Yes, and
Okay,
she wears like the blue shirt or whatever. It's like a cardigan thing,
okay.
and she's
I'm
like,
maybe I might have not seen her. Yeah.
yeah, you have to. I mean, she's been on the regular TV, like news and
Then yeah, I
everything
think
for
I have
many
seen her
things
then. I just
about,
never knew her handle.
yeah. And she is just, it just talks so much about corporate America that is still very much like that today. And I think people find it funny, but every time I watch her, I'm like, people are laughing at this, but this is a reality that people should really start understanding. Like, we are shifting from this. We are no longer living in this realm where you need to be on top of people 24/7 to get work done.
Yeah,
And I find it funny that there's one that she talks about where she talks about like, I'm supposed to supervise people, but I can't see you if you're not on camera and like all this stuff. And it's so true. Like, you don't need to supervise people that same way anymore. And I
yeah.
think we
No,
have to figure out that new balance because none of us want to go into an office.
not at all. I mean, I kind of do. Every now and then, I miss the interaction with the people, but I'm perfectly fine waking up at 4:30, going to the gym, coming home, sitting down at my desk, doing my work. I can cook when I'm hungry. I can do the laundry when I need to, but I still get my work done. And I've been able to transition into different roles, working 100% remotely because of that trust that my company has given me.
Yeah, and I think that that's the reality. I mean, none of us want to go work in an office again. And I think the stuff that we would want to go work in an office for, offices don't provide. Like, I would much rather like live in a city where all my friends live and chip in for all of us to go to an office and work together.
Right.
I feel like if all of us like lived in one city and we had like 10 people and we all went to an office space and rented it together, we could easily like work and have our space, but the chit chat by the coffee pot, I want to talk to people I like.
Yeah. I mean, it's
Not
really
just
all about the people. The only reason you want to go
right,
into an office. That's it.
right. And at this point, I'm sorry, but the 75-year-old lady that's kind of mean at the office that sits at the front desk most of the time, I just don't want to deal with it. I don't want to do it. Just don't want to do it. So dating we know is crazy. The work life, definitely you have work life balance, which is
Mhm.
great. And being able to kind of continue to grow. So congratulations on kind
Thank
of
you.
that path and where you are now. We love to be successful. For anybody now, Eric is looking for a monogamous relationship.
I am.
Live in Atlanta and you cannot be a splendid daddy. You need to be a sugar daddy. That would be peak.
Not even a sugar daddy, just be able to handle your own.
No, be a sugar daddy. You're just not gonna get sugar baby from Eric. You're just, but
Okay,
still be a sugar daddy.
I'll
You
take
know what I
that.
mean? Like, yeah, don't take any less. Crazy. Why would you take any less than that? Buy the gifts, but know if they leave, you're still good. Keep your apartment. Very. Do you watch Sex in the City?
I have, yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So very much like Big and
Carrie.
Carrie, where she had her own apartment the entire time.
Yeah.
She never let that apartment go.
Yeah. No, I think
I always have a place to go.
I think the reason I say that is because ever since I was little, my mom always told me not to focus on the money, but the person's heart. And that's always just stayed in me. It's really about the person soul, really.
You really, I thought you were kidding when you said that you were basically J Lo love story heartthrob, but really you are.
No,
Like you're really like into this.
I really am.
So now you know. So the way to your heart is like a boombox throwing rocks at your window, singing from
No,
the
don't be
street
breaking
like
my
a
window now.
flower. Oh no.
Don't break my window. No, but I
Not breaking the window, you throw pebbles so that you know to open the window.
good luck. I'm on the fourth floor, so good luck.
You got to have a good arm.
Yeah. No, since you mentioned J
You might
Lo,
break it.
um,
Yeah.
when I was very little, I was probably about 6 or 7. We had a cassette tape, and one of the songs was "No Me Ames" by Mark Anthony and Jennifer Lopez. And right next to my bed, I had a white boombox, and I would play that song on repeat every night, like, until I fell asleep. So I would stop it, rewind, play, stop, rewind, play until I fell asleep. So I've always been a hopeless romantic.
Okay. First of all, J Lo, Mark Anthony, No Me Ames, great song. I will say that. Um, if anybody on the podcast has anything bad to say about J Lo's new album, I'm ready to fight. And
I'm just mad she canceled
if
tour dates.
you,
That's it.
yes, I am upset about that, but I understand financially it was a lot. I get it. But nonetheless, I thought the album was great. I thought as a piece of work, it was a great love story from beginning to end.
Hmm.
Those of you who are talking trash cannot relate to the story. That's what it is. And if you take a second to really go watch the movie, you'll understand the storyline better, maybe, and that will help you out. But on the JLo journey, where are you as a fan? Are you a fan of her bodega order?
Actually, my sister's in New York right now, so I should ask her to go to Bodega and ask for it. But um, as far as JLo,
You should ask her to go ask the owner of the bodega what the orange drink is, because if you know, you
it's
know.
a quarter water. That's what we've established. It's a quarter water.
No, that's not true.
um,
I am a born and raised New Yorker, and I never in my life heard of the orange drink. I heard of the orange barrels. I've heard of the Tropicana. I've heard of the Sunkiss. I heard
Sunny
of a
Delight.
lot of drinks. The Sunny Delight. I do feel like maybe J Lo's orange drink is Tropicana because she was one of those
Mhm.
girls. Like she seems like the Tropicana type of
Yeah,
girl. Um, but yeah, I don't know what a orange drink
yeah.
is.
As far as her order is concerned, I mean, it's definitely a lot simpler than other orders that I've heard. But I
Yeah.
give her props because anytime J Lo mentions something about the Bronx, people get so upset and rowdy about it. But it brings more attention to the Bronx.
Yeah. Well, and I think the thing that a lot of people like, J Lo did not live her entire life in the
No.
Bronx. Let's be real. We know this. But that is a huge part of her culture. That is a huge part of where she grew up. If you were to see her on the streets and she did not say that she was J Lo, and you saw her walking down the streets, you would think she was a girl from the Bronx. Like she reminds me of a girl from the Bronx. The way she dresses, the way she walks, the way she does things. She reminds me of a girl from the Bronx. And that's okay. I just think like if you don't order from the bodega anymore, just say you don't. I think that was my only thing.
Okay.
But other than that, I mean, I thought it was kind of shady. They even posted that video of the guy outside of her old house or something like that, and he was
Oh,
like,
I did see that.
"Who are you?" I'm like, "Bitch, you know that that's J Lo. Get
Yeah.
out of here. I don't care how old you are. You know that that's J Lo. Get out." Like everybody knows who J Lo is and what she looks like.
Yes.
She still looks
She
bombing
still looks
for
like she did when she played
52,
Selena.
53. She's amazing. Like all I want to know is J Lo. Can you drop in the comments who the doctor is that can keep us all that young? Because I need to know,
It's
man.
that
I need to
JLo
know.
glow,
I need to know what the diet is or whatever it is.
and she does work out a lot.
Yeah,
She wakes up.
She works out a lot, and
Yeah,
I heard, I don't know if it's true, but I heard that she has a really like strict food regimen too.
I would assume so.
Um, yeah, so I don't know what it is, but I'll do it if J Lo tells me that that's what she does because she is iconic for her age. I know my dad was born the same year as J Lo, and all I'm gonna say is J Lo, you're doing it. That's that. So in your life so far, you've gone through, I think, everything all of us that are going through the gay space before we find ourselves and are confident with like ourselves and like building our own personal self-esteem. I think that you've got to kind of go through all of those ups and downs. So at this point in your life, if you were to meet somebody or meet your younger self, what is like the best advice you would give?
The best advice that I would give is cliche, but really just be yourself. There's going to be some hard times, but as long as you have hope and you keep a positive attitude about things, things do look up and change. Um, and also that there really is no right way to be gay, just one wrong way, which is not being a good person. So as long as you're a good person, then you're doing things right.
That is so sweet. I should implement that RuPaul thing where I show like a picture of like when you were 4 or whatever it is.
Oh gosh,
And
no.
this is you when
I
you
mean,
were
my dad
4. What would you
actually,
tell your
the other day, my dad sent me some pictures of me when I was little. He still carries them in his wallet, so they're like kind of like slightly torn and stuff, but he has like,
feet up?
yeah, just a little, but yeah, about 5 pictures of me from when I was a baby and then like elementary school. So, yeah,
Do you have siblings?
I do. So, I have two older half brothers on my mom's side. I'm my father's only son. Um, and then my adopted family, I have two younger sisters and a younger brother there. And then my dad got remarried, so I have an older stepsister and a younger stepsister.
So you're your dad's only son.
Correct.
Awesome. You should get him some new photos for the tore up ones that he got. Replace them.
We've taken some on his phone, so
Yeah. I love it because sometimes when I go like to my mom's or my dad's and I like because my parents are divorced, so sometimes like when I go to either of their houses and like we start cleaning up something or they pull out a box from 100 years ago that's like
mhm.
falling apart and they start going through it and you're like, why do you still have this? Like, why are you
Right.
holding on to this pizza made out of macaroni that I did in the second grade that you still have here? The macaroni's like completely falling apart. This is like, I don't know why you have
I
this.
think I might be that person also because I have a up here on my door. I have a little house that my niece actually colored, and she gave that to me years ago. But I've moved a few times since then. But every time I move, I put it up at the door, and I still hold on to it. So
You're the gunkle of the
I
family.
am.
You have all the kids and they're not your kids. So you get to like take all the fun stuff and do fun
I'm the
things.
bad
But
influence.
when they're bad and terrible, you give them away.
Exactly.
Give them back.
That's the fun part, giving them back.
Yes, I have said it. I have dogs. My dogs are my children. And I'm convinced, and we can fight this on a whole nother podcast, like on its own, but I'm convinced that having an animal like a dog as a pet is way worse than having a kid. Mainly because, your kid, that they're gonna like do certain things where like your dog will just get up and puke all over the place. Just not even, and then just keep walking like it never happened. And so I think, a lot of the time people don't realize that. But now having nieces and nephews and being able to kind of interact with them, it's a whole different ball game. Mine are far away. So it's funny because my nephew will call me. So like we'll video chat with each other and like he has learned that you can put like face coverings on the filters on
Oh
Messenger and
yeah.
stuff.
Hmm.
So he'll start like being different animals and like laughing at himself in the videos. So it's really funny how like we have come a long way with technology to be able to bring families that much closer together, even when we're further apart.
If you think about it, we're older than Google.
Listen, these last few podcasts that we have done, I've learned a lot about myself I didn't know I wanted to know, and stuff that I now know I don't want to know. But one major thing that we talked about on the last podcast was Drag Race. And so some people have been gay longer than Drag Race, and some people have been gay less time than Drag Race. And so the weird part for me is that there are people that did not find out who they were until they saw Drag Race, right? And some people didn't see Drag Race till like season 4 or 5 or 6. Some people are just now finding Drag Race on TV,
That's crazy.
right?
'Cause RuPaul's been out
Yeah,
since before, way before, like
yeah,
RuPaul was doing MTV Spring Break and all that stuff. So I would assume a
right. So
lot more people would know
we've
about it.
had yeah, so we've had RuPaul on TV for many, many years. I think RuPaul was on TV, I want to say in the 90s.
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Um, yeah. So we've had RuPaul on TV for a long time. I think where a lot of people didn't know RuPaul was on TV. They don't click like RuPaul Charles male with RuPaul drag queen.
True.
Like some people don't click the two. Because I do know a few people that watched Tu Wong Fu and never knew that RuPaul was in it.
It's been a while since I've seen that movie, so
And RuPaul comes down in the Confederate flag dress at the competition
okay.
in the movie. So wild that like people don't even connect those two. But Drag Race being on TV, now that it is officially on MTV, it's now reaching communities that never reached before.
Hmm.
Not many people are watching Logo. Ever since RuPaul left Logo, I don't know who is still watching Logo.
Is the logo even still a thing?
Right. And then so as like time has gone on, I think just the reach of people is larger. And it's shocking to me that like when you really sit down and think about it, there are people that grow up in a small rural town in the middle of nowhere,
Mm.
super far away, and they have no idea what's going on. And then they see RuPaul
Yeah.
on MTV.
And then you have people like
And
here in Atlanta where we have watch parties at people's houses. We have like drag queens, like a friend of mine, Cora Nova. She performs at a local bar here, and they put on a whole production while the show's going on. So it's become a big thing.
yeah, so now we're in a different realm where I find it to be kind of shocking. And so, I just we talked about it before, and I realized that I am gay longer than Drag Race has been on TV.
It
And for some of us, I feel personally like drag has been on TV forever
feels that
at this
way.
point. Yeah, we're like 7,000 episodes in.
It's gonna be like the Now Music 89.
Right. Yeah. Welcome to RuPaul's Drag Race, now presenting number 99. Then the kids version.
Oh gosh, that's gonna be controversial.
It's going to be controversial. I mean, there's drag queens that are not invited to the kids version. Just saying.
Yeah.
So now with where you are in life, being able to kind of really see yourself from the outside looking in and being able to kind of grow and develop as you continue to build, what are things that are kind of shaping you as you move forward for like what you're planning for the rest of your life?
So things that are kind of building for me is obviously I have a great job. I have great friends that I've met here in Atlanta, doing sports. I have a good core family, even though they are back in Charlotte, um, who support me, still stay in contact with me. Um, but I'm also going back to I'm also back in school also, which work is kind of paying for. So furthering my
Yes, we
education,
love paid tuition.
yes. I mean, why not? If you're able to, take advantage of it.
For
Um,
sure.
but also realizing that I'm not the same person that I used to be, and that where I'm at now is because of some hard times, some good times, but also blessings that have been in that pathway.
Yeah. Well, we definitely love that. The continuous growth, education, paid tuition. We love that. I think it's something very interesting for a lot of people to take a second and think about when you're looking for a job, what benefits are really added to you through those different careers is really important, especially if you're going into something you really enjoy or you're
Mhm.
having a good time with doing. Speaking up, talking, using your voice to be able to get certain things. I've worked in a lot of different industries. Some companies have offered us a lot more benefits than others, and a lot of those things a lot of people don't use because they don't even know that they exist or different stuff like that. So definitely taking a minute to go through that, learn that, and be able to use that, I think is really important.
Yeah,
Here at Girl Bye, we always like to take a moment and remember somebody that we truly just think is no value to our current life or our current growth. So, who in your life would you like to say, girl, bye, because you're ready to let them go?
definitely an ex of mine. Um,
Period. What is the main reason?
just gaslighting. Like there's no need to gaslight people. Just be honest. Um,
Period. Girl, bye to the gaslighter in Charlotte.
love, peace, chicken grease.
Listen, I love fried chicken. Then, one thing that I have added to the podcast as we have come on is taking a moment to recognize somebody that you would like to say, girl, hi, because they help you in your life. They either bring you joy, they bring you happiness, they help you through rough times. Who's somebody that you would like to just shout out as being a great person to you?
This one makes me emotional, but my sister. Um, uh, so this is my friend who I asked to help me look for an apartment, who became my
Yeah.
sister basically. She's been there through the ups, downs, through funerals of my personal family. I've been there during some funerals of her family. She's been there when I've had financial struggles. Um, and even though we're miles apart now, we still talk every day. And we're constantly reminding each other when it's 11:11 or 2:22. Um, yeah, she's my best friend. Without her, I don't know where I'd be.
Well, we love it. And girl, hi to your sister. And obviously, thanks for always being there to bring a smile to Eric's face because we know we don't want any frown lines.
I'm gonna need some Botox for that though, for the marionette lines.
Botox party. We need a Botox party. That's what we need. So awesome. To bring this podcast to a close today, I want to first thank you for joining us here at Girl Bye. This podcast is growing. I cannot believe we've made this many episodes. This truly is a part of an adventure, and I want to thank you for joining me here because, um, for all the people that I've reached out to be a part of this podcast and to come share their stories, I really appreciate everybody jumping in. This was truly an idea that I thought about and was like, I'm just going to pull the trigger and see what happens. And we've come this far. So thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
We love your story. We love you having you. Is there anything you want to plug? Do you want people to follow you on Instagram? Anything?
If anybody wants to follow me on Instagram, it's Eric_Alexander_Ocampo, Ocampo.
Period. Go follow him on Instagram. He'll post more gym pics for those of you who probably want to see him at the gym. He'll post his Cash App there too. I'm just kidding.
Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, whatever you got.
PayPal, piggy bank, courier pigeon, however you're sending it.
Gold bricks.
When it gets here, we'll talk about it. But thanks for joining us, Eric. And again, thank you for joining Girl Bye. We'll see you next time.